Ladies and Gentlemen, hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen React hier auf Pizmeet TV. Heute mit allen außer Jonathan und wir schauen uns an Top 20 Best Shortcuts in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Beim letzten Mal habe ich gerade schon gesagt, hat das bei Big Blue auf jeden Fall was gebracht, bei mir nicht. Also, weil ich verkackt hat immer, aber...
Seitdem mag ich die Strecke viel lieber. Basemo hat sich das gewünscht und das wird er sich ja wohl nur gewünscht haben, wenn da jetzt Abkürzungen drin sind, die wir noch nicht kennen. Falls wir jetzt so tun, als würden wir die noch nicht kennen, aber schon die in einem anderen Video gesehen haben, dann gibt es das wenigstens gute React-Szenen.
Deluxe was never really known for having crazy shortcuts, so most of you would be surprised to learn that there are actually some pretty wild shortcuts in this game, a lot of which I really enjoy. So in this video, I'm going to be showcasing my top 20 favorite shortcuts in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's also worth mentioning, I'll be including shortcuts from both 150cc and 200cc. Generally, if you can pull off said shortcut on both modes, I will showcase the one on 150cc.
Ist nicht über den Zeiger gefahren?
Die Uhr war, ja, in der letzten Runde kannst du abkürzen, aber der hat, glaube ich, echt nochmal ein Stück weggenommen, weil der nicht über den Zeiger ist, sondern einfach über das Zahnrad gesprungen.
Wir kriegen die ja jetzt noch sofort.
Genau. Ja, stimmt.
Because it's generally more satisfying, but there are a few special cases. With that said, without further ado, let's start giving her, bud. Starting off the show at number 20, we have the ribbon.
Was?
Die kenne ich nicht.
Oh mein Gott, die habe ich noch nie gesehen.
Starting off the show at number 20, we have the Ribbon Road Double Shroomless shortcut. This is one of the very few shortcuts on this list where you're supposed to pull it off Nintendo's intended way. Even with that in mind, this combination of shortcuts is pretty sick. As you pull off these two shortcuts, you're going to have to traverse through the wave section. Not only are the wave tricks themselves pretty cool, but you can actually leverage them to make a really cool second shortcut. You can trick drift onto the second shortcut, then get a mini turbo trick off the ramp, which is pretty awesome. While this version of the shortcut isn't exactly practical online, this shortcut is still pretty cool and it's pretty easy, which makes it very practical. Number 19 is the Yoshi Circuit beginning shortcut, except without a mushroom. This is one of the more challenging shortcuts on this list, at least on 150cc. But I will say, when you pull it off, it is very satisfying. Just don't go for it when you have 0 coins, or else you have probably a negative 2% chance of making it. Yeah.
Oh, das heißt, er sagt, wenn du keine 10 Coins hast, ist schlecht, weil dann
bei
hast
150.
Ja, weil du dann zu langsam bist.
Ja,
er ist gerade bei 150, ne?
Ja, okay.
Bei 200
you gotta make sure you have a higher coin count. And even then, it's rather challenging, so it's not the most practical one online, but it's not obnoxiously challenging, so that's why I like it. Number 8.
Ich nutze den tatsächlich nie da bei Yoshi, weil ich nie Pilze habe. Und als erster kriegst du keine Pilze. Aber scheinbar geht's auch ohne.
Habt ihr gerade den Diss von Peter uns gegenüber gehört?
Bei 200 müsste es ja mit 1, 2 Münzchen dann eigentlich relativ easy sein. Weil ich mir nie angeguckt habe, wie die Geschwindigkeit eigentlich mit jeder Münze zunimmt.
Ich dachte auch, du kriegst einen Boost ab 10 und vorher ist scheißegal, wie viel du hast, aber das scheint nicht der Fall zu sein.
Nee, du wirst mal prozentual.
Gerade fällt mir ein, dass das halt ein absolutes Fun-Game ist, was man auch komplett zerdenken kann, und ich hoffe, an diesem Punkt werden wir nie landen.
Nee.
Is the Cheeseland cheese shortcut, but without a mushroom. You will typically never see people going for this online, especially because Cheeseland is already a backing track on its own. So if people are taking this shortcut, it will definitely be with a mushroom or some sort of power item. Regardless, this is one of the most satisfying shortcuts to pull off in the game, because if you get it perfectly, you're going to lose very minimal speed and you're going to get quite the boost forward during the shortcut as well. It's not very practical, but it is very satisfying when you get it perfectly, so it's a shortcut I enjoy pulling off every now and then. Number 17 is the TikTok clock ending shortcut. This one is essential for online play, especially on lap 1, and it's pretty cool as well. In fact, you can pull the shortcut off on all 3 laps. Granted, it is pretty challenging on lap 2 if you weren't already on a good pace, but nonetheless, still possible, still cool. It's very easy on lap 3 as well, but if the end of the race pressure gets to you,
der hat an dem Rad unten den Power Boost gekriegt, das ist ja wild.
Weil er da den Jump gemacht hat, der ist ja fucking smart.
Alter, der ist gut.
You could embarrassingly fall off. Try not to make that happen. But generally speaking, the TikTok clock ending shortcut is pretty awesome. Number 16 is the Hyrule Circuit ending Shroomless shortcut. This is a rather basic shortcut.
Ich finde den auch nicht simpel.
Ja, aber bei 200cc ist der schwer, bei 150 nicht.
Die Kurvenkombo da generell ist echt schwierig, da vernünftig rauszukommen, weil da sind doch auch noch die fleischfressenden Pflanzen. Wo sind denn die?
Ist er schon mal vorbei, glaube ich. Und da vorne kommt die noch
da
raus.
vorne links eigentlich einer.
But I will say the setting that the shortcut is in is perfect. You lose a lot of time if you go around this shortcut. And even though there is an item set, if you don't take the shortcut, you gotta ask yourself, is the item set really worth going for? Especially in a lap 3 situation, because this shortcut is at the very end of the race. Speaking of which, on lap 3, you gotta make sure you're positioned to the left when hopping because you don't want to get chomped by this plant. That would be a pretty unfortunate way to lose the race. But all things considered, even though the execution is pretty basic, the setting the shortcut is in and the momentum you keep during the shortcut is pretty awesome. Here comes our first 200cc shortcut. Number 15 is the Sky High Sunday U-turn skip. What I really like about this shortcut is the speed you carry while you're in the air. You just feel like you're going a lot faster than you actually are, and it's a pretty awesome feeling. This shortcut is possible.
Ich sage jetzt schon, wenn ich das erste Mal probiere, werde ich da eiskalt runterfallen.
Ja,
safe.
Wie schwebt der denn so lange?
But it's not even faster. So it was a no-brainer putting this 200cc version on this list. Number 14 is the Shy Guy Falls ending shroomless shortcut. There are quite a few ways to pull this one off, but the one I like the most is the super mini turbo method. Dropping down to the bottom path to ensure you get that super mini turbo, so you have no problem clearing the off-road and tricking off the ramp. Now you could go up top, trick off the ramp, and release a mini turbo as you hop into the shortcut, but this is a lot riskier.
Du hast halt das Problem da, dass die Items liegen halt dahinter.
Vor allen Dingen jetzt die Kurve, du hast halt die Kurve jetzt, die du rechts nehmen musst, die für die anderen auch einfach geradeaus ist. Also,
also für 200 finde ich die auch unpraktisch. Aber er sagt ja immer an, welche praktisch für 200 sind und nicht.
Unless you're really good at this method, the risk doesn't really outweigh the reward. You're much better off diving down and leveraging the super mini turbo method, as it is still much faster than driving around the shortcut. Number 13 is the DK Summit double shortcut. I actually hated this shortcut when I first tried it out in this game, but I very quickly warmed up to it once I learned how to execute it perfectly. And let me tell you, it is super satisfying when you land directly onto the boost panel after the shortcut. Not really much else to say here. This shortcut is pretty sick. It's a Mario Kart Wii classic, and even though it's easier in this game, the thrill of it is without a doubt still there. Number 12 is the Dragon Driftway gap jump. This shortcut is really fun to pull off. I know I make it look pretty easy here, but there are quite a few components you need to get down to make this shortcut perfectly. From getting 2 ultra mini turbos to positioning yourself to get in the best line possible for the shortcut, and fully soft drifting to then hop over the gap. There's a lot going on here, and that's what makes this shortcut really awesome. Being able to nail the shortcut perfectly every time is quite the thrill, especially online. Number 11 is the TikTok clock ending shroom shortcut on 200cc. I don't really have too much to say here. This shortcut is just incredibly fun to pull off. The idea that the intended way to pull the shortcut...
Mit Shroom, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe. Also hat er einen Pilz? Ne, sieht man eigentlich nicht.
Is with the hands and you don't use them at all is pretty sick.
Aber hat er den aber genutzt, hast du gerade gesehen.
Das ist aber auch relativ knapp, finde ich, wenn du dir das mal anguckst. Das ist so ein Hauch vor runterfallen.
Das kannst du nicht verkacken.
About how fast you're really going while pulling it off like it's nothing. Yeah, it's one hell of an experience, and I love this shortcut for that reason. Kicking off the top 10, number 10 is the GBA Mario Circuit Glider Cut. This is a very long shortcut, all things considered, but it's a really fun one nonetheless. The glider was never intended to be leveraged to go all the way over here, but in an online setting, unless you're close to someone taking the shortcut as well, it feels pretty satisfying pulling this beauty shortcut off and not having to worry about anyone or anything for an extended period of time. Way more so than you should. I don't know. This shortcut's been around for a while now, and I've always had a soft spot for it. It's just really fun to pull off, simple as that. Number 9 is the Snowland Ultra shortcut. You save a ridiculous amount of time by hopping over this gap, and this shortcut definitely steals the show.
Ja, vielleicht war Christian nicht dabei, als wir die aufgenommen haben.
Kann sein.
Ist auch eine der neueren.
Sieht aber ganz nett aus.
Even though it's pretty basic in regards to the execution, given how much time you save and the flow of it, I really enjoy this shortcut, and I definitely think it deserves a spot in my top 10. Number 8 is the Shy Guy Falls ending shroom shortcut on 200cc. I know that sounded kind of weird, but just feast your eyes. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. This shortcut is definitely one of the most satisfying ones to pull off in the game. You just kind of feel like a boss pulling it off. This
aber ich finde halt trotzdem, du hast halt kein Item, also mal angenommen, du bist irgendwie Erster. Ja, okay, dann macht das Sinn, du hast halt im Zweifel
aber war auch wieder mit Shroom, ne? Da hast du, als Erster hast du keinen Shroom.
Und hat er gerade einen Shroom benutzt? Aber hat er nicht Shroomless gesagt?
Hat er Shroomless gesagt?
Er hat doch nur gedriftet.
Definitely think it deserves a spot in my top 10. Number 8 is the Shy Guy Falls ending Shroom shortcut on 200cc. Okay. I know that sounded kind of weird, but just feast your eyes.
Sieht er den denn?
Yes.
Ja, jetzt. Kurz vorher.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty awesome. This shortcut is definitely
Aber das heißt, wenn du mitten im Feld bist, habe ich halt immer das Gefühl, du bist ein bisschen
nicht,
verloren.
weil du übergebumst wirst.
Genau, du musst halt auch, so blöd das ist, aber andere versuchen abzuballern mit irgendwas oder irgendwie Items zu kriegen.
Oder nicht abgeballert zu werden.
Wenn du die perfekt fährst, die Strecke, dann kann ich mir vorstellen, kannst du auf Items scheißen.
Ja, aber da bist du eh erst.
Aber da bin ich noch nicht. Also. Ja. Aber um die Maus zu spielen, hätte ich Bock drauf.
Ja, cool.
Sorry.
In the game. You just kind of feel like a boss pulling it off. This track isn't that common online, especially on 200cc, so I don't really know how practical the shortcut is in an online setting. But needless to say, it looks really cool, so that's all that matters. Number 7 is this really weird ninja hideaway shroomless shortcut. By going headfirst into the wall and holding right, you can break the wooden piranha plant structure without spinning out. And let me tell you, when you pull the shortcut off perfectly by being so close to spinning out, but you just don't because you're Hemi Neutron, it is so satisfying. Just don't expect to get it right away if you're learning it for the first time. It is quite the shortcut to get used to. And keeping it rolling on Ninja Hideaway, number 6 is the...
Aber ich finde es schneller, diese Strecke einfach normal zu fahren, weil die Fehlerquote einfach so hoch ist, ehrlicherweise.
200cc ending Shroomless shortcut.
Oh
This one
mein
is
Gott.
at the very end of the race, and you cut off so much of the track.
Nee, er hat diesmal habe ich Shroomless verstanden.
Wirklich die was?
Diesmal habe ich Shroomless verstanden.
Nee,
shortcut. 200cc at the very end of the race. First time, it is quite the shortcut to get used to. And keeping it rolling on Ninja Hideaway, number 6 is the 200cc ending Shroomless shortcut. This one is at the very end of the race, and you cut off so much of the track. It's pretty basic in execution, but it is quite the way to end off the race in
style. Vor allem, weil die Rechtskurve, die danach kommt, auch super eng ist. Also wenn du zu weit rechts hier oben bist, fällst du runter.
Das ist das erste Mal, jetzt ist das erste Mal interessant, dass man da oben lang fährt.
Ich hasse diese Strecke.
Ich fahr immer oben
because
lang.
Apparently I have a big problem with the shortcut. When I was recording this, I only made it once out of the 3 times. So even though I'm not exactly him when it comes to this shortcut is still pretty awesome. Starting off the top 5, the Mario Kart Stadium Motion Glider. And be ready, because this is not the only time we're going to be talking about the motion glider technique. Basically, by performing the same inputs with your stick and motion controls, you can pull off some crazy shenanigans on gliding sections. One of those gliding sections being the ending glider on Mario Kart Stadium. Ideally, you want 3 mushrooms in a lap 3 situation, use them one boost after another, then hold back and left with both your stick and controller to do this. If you're the only one pulling this technique off, you could gain so many spots at the very end of the race. And if everyone knows how to pull it off, you best know how to do it as well, or else you're going to lose a lot of spots at the very end of the race. Needless to say, this is one of the best ways to end off a race in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But not quite the best. Number 4 is the Coconut Mall Motion Glider. And you'll be gliding like a maniac for a lot longer than you were on Mario Kart Stadium. The longer you're going wild, the better. But when it comes to this shortcut, especially in a lap 3 situation, it feels really sick just going this fast near the very end of the race. But it's not quite my favorite motion glider strat. Number 3 is the Dolphin Shoals ending motion glider. There's something special about not landing when you're supposed to, specifically on this track. Combine that with zooming through the air and diving down into the water after. This shortcut is one...
Aber den rechts anzufliegen habe ich auch noch nicht gemacht.
Nee, du kannst doch rechts über das Ding einfach drüber fliegen.
Ja, nee, da kommst du aber nicht ganz so weit, glaube ich.
Ja.
Ich glaube, er kommt weiter.
Wenn du einen Pilz hast, kannst du auch die Kurve einfach drüber fahren, aber...
Ich glaube nämlich auch.
For the ages. And I've always loved this shortcut even without the motion glider. So when you add that into the mix, yeah, it's over, dude. This shortcut is awesome and I love it. Definitely deserving of a top 3 shortcut on my list. The runner-up on my list is the Big Blue Ultra shortcut on 200cc. This has to be one of, if not the biggest shortcuts in the game, and the way you don't lose any speed during it is just phenomenal. It feels like no time between when you fly off the track and when you land back right before the cannon glider. Now, this is possible on 150cc as well, but it looks really boring and it's way harder compared to this one, and not practical like this one either. This is a must-make shortcut online, and just being able to pull off a shortcut as wild as this one is amazing. And my number 1 shortcut in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the Mushroom Gorge Gap Jump. This is the most versatile shortcut in the game in the best possible setting. It's at the very end of the race, and you need a mushroom to pull it off. You could take the safe gap jump, which is really easy, or you can test your skills with the fast fast gap jump, which while it is much faster, it is much more risky as well. This is the shortcut you think of when finishing a race in style. It's quite the way to salvage some spots at the very end, especially if you take the fast gap, and the different difficulties when it comes to this shortcut really makes it stand out from the rest. I mean, all things considered, this is one of the most iconic shortcuts in Mario Kart history, so it only makes sense that it's really high on my list, let alone at the #1 spot. The Mushroom Gorge gap jump takes home the gold. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments what your favorite shortcuts are, and also maybe I missed a shortcut that is really cool. I mean, seeing how Lakitu simply exists the way he does.
Aber eine der früheren DLCs, würde ich schon sagen.
In this game, the fact that we can do so many shortcuts like this is pretty awesome. Speaking of which, I wonder how many times I said pretty awesome in this video, because I said it quite a bit, I can't lie. But you know, shortcuts are an integral part of this game, and they are pretty awesome for the most part, so there you go. With that said, until next time, thank you so much for watching, have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.
Okay, da haben wir was gelernt, würde ich sagen.
Ja. Aber es waren auch nicht die simpelsten Abkürzungen, muss ich zugeben. Und es war auch nicht alles 200 cc. Also es waren, glaube ich, 6 oder so.
Ja, aber muss man mal ausprobieren. Dann dürften die in 200 cc eigentlich sogar besser gehen. Je nachdem. Also
ja, je nachdem, wie gut du die in der Kurve anfahren kannst.
Bei der Driftstrecke, gerade bei dem Schnee, bin ich mir da unsicher, ob du da nicht vielleicht sogar zu schnell reinkommst. Da muss man mal gucken.
Ja.
Also falsch rum driften, so das passiert einem manchmal. Warum, weiß ich auch nicht. Das ist dann immer zum Kotzen, aber da das absichtlich zu machen, fühlt sich bestimmt weird an.
Ja, glaube ich auch. Vielen lieben Dank, dass ihr heute eingeschaltet habt. Euch jetzt noch einen wunderschönen Tag. Bis dahin. Haut rein.
Tschüss.